You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Mars Day. I'm so grateful you're starting the day with me. How is everybody feeling? I know that a lot of you who came on yesterday, I'm not sure if you caught it, but I wasn't actually live yesterday. That was pre-recorded. So I'm really happy to be back with you live and to break down all of the energy we have today. And it's quite a bit of energy. We have a lot of transits to go over that will carry us through the next few days. So you can think of today as kind of a planner for the rest of the week, because after the transits today, we have a little bit of a lull until Saturday. That's when we start to get a lot more action again. So let's just hop right into it. Good morning, Crystal. Thank you for being here. Cassie, I see you figured out how to comment on YouTube, which is awesome. I know that there's a little bit of a technical challenge there sometimes. We don't know exactly how to use it, but yes, commenting on YouTube is the easiest way for me to see your comments, for me to pull them up, and to respond to your questions if you have any. So feel free to throw your questions in the comments or let me know if you're feeling the energy we're talking about. I always love to see your feedback. All right, let's pull up the chart and see what's going on today. So still Sagittarius season. We're still feeling that fiery energy. And something you actually might have noticed, or at least for me, last night, I had a really hard time sleeping. I was really awake. And that might have been last night. We had that more intense energy with the moon meeting up with Pluto, forming a sextile to Mars at the same time. That was at about 8 o'clock Pacific time last night. So that could be part of it. It could just be my sleep cycle is messed up. But let me know if you felt that too, because I had a really hard time sleeping. And we do have a couple different transits involving Neptune, the planet of dreams, the planet of subconscious, the planet of sleep. And I know a lot of people have been saying they've been having more vivid dreams since Neptune went direct last week. So I know I've been experiencing that. I don't know if you've been having more vivid dreams as well. Okay, yeah, Cassie, no sleep last night. Same here. I should have been tired, but I was not. Yeah, your son was up a lot too. I think it's always interesting to see how children are reacting to the energy, because I think they're so much more sensitive to it. And so I always ask my friends, especially with small kiddos, how they're feeling. Difficulty getting to sleep last night and strange dreams. Okay, Crystal, so I did not get great sleep the night before. For those of you who watched yesterday, I went to a concert on Sunday night. So I thought, okay, I'll have no problem falling asleep. And I didn't really take a long nap or anything. But even when I went to lay down at like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, I still couldn't sleep. So wild. Let's get into what's happening today, what energy might be contributing to this. So today we have a couple different squares to talk about, and squares are 90-degree angles, the most tense transit. So it's a good thing you're here. It's a good thing that you are prepared for it. let's start with the transit that we're feeling right now. And it is a transit that involves Neptune. So take a look at the chart here. We have Mercury still in Sagittarius, 20 degrees Sagittarius, squaring off to Neptune in Pisces. So Mercury is the planet of communication, the planet that rules our rational mind, our thoughts, our ideas. Neptune, as I mentioned, is the planet of dreams, fantasy, imagination, the subconscious. So when these two planets form a square to one another, we can get some mental confusion or mental fog even. You might have woken up with kind of some confusion or, just kind of in a fog. This can also bring, just some miscommunication throughout the day today. So this is exact at 7:15 this morning, which means we are right smack dab in the middle of feeling this energy. This clouds our rational thinking, as I mentioned, and it could also make us a little bit more prone to daydreaming or fantasies. So if you find yourself checking out a lot over the course of the day, that could be Mercury squaring off to Neptune. Even expressing yourself, words might not come through as clearly or as clearly as you intended. You might think you're totally making sense, but the person on the other end of the conversation might be a little bit confused. So just give people grace with communication today. And Neptune also rules our spirituality, religion as well. And with it squaring off to Mercury, the planet of research and information, you might feel more inclined to look into topics surrounding spirituality or do a little bit of research. Just be careful not to deep dive down too far into a rabbit hole, because it could be easy to get wrapped up or lost a little bit in that fantasy or in that conspiracy theory or in the information that you're finding interesting. This transit blurs the line between fact and fiction. So this morning especially is not a great time to make judgments long term, just because we are more prone to confusion. So today, I would say, is not a great day for major negotiation, I should say, if you can avoid it. If you do have negotiations or important conversations to have, just make sure you're being crystal clear in your communication and you're giving people grace, whoever you're talking with. Also happening right now, you can see the sun is opposing Lilith. We don't talk about Lilith a whole lot. We have been more so than usual the past week or so. But you can see the sun, 15 degrees Sagittarius, directly opposing Lilith. Lilith is the farthest spot in the moon's orbit from Earth because the moon's orbit isn't a perfect circle. So she's known as the dark moon. And if you look back in, the Bible, especially in the Jewish faith, Lilith was known as Adam's first wife, but she was a little bit too feisty. She wanted to be an equal and did not want to be a subordinate to Adam. So Lilith, we can kind of think of as that inner version of ourselves who is in control, knows what she wants. She is that bitch. And when the sun opposes Lilith in Gemini, one of two things can happen. Oppositions are kind of like that make or break energy. So the negative of this is that we could let that inner bitch take center stage. Trying to control and force people and be in control can be sort of a consequence of this transit. However, the positive of this is that Lilith can give us that confidence to speak our truth, especially since Lilith is in Gemini, opposing the Sagittarius sun, which is all about expressing our truth. It can give us that confidence to express ourselves, make our needs known, and harness our power. So if you're feeling that a little bit this morning, like, yeah, I'm feeling powerful, I'm feeling like I've got this day, just make sure you don't go over the top with that and try to kind of control other people in the moment. Okay, yeah. A couple times during my forecast today, I asked my co-anchor if I was even making sense. That would be Mercury square Neptune. Even as I'm speaking right now, I feel like the words aren't coming through as clearly as they normally do. And pay attention, especially to this Mercury square Neptune transit, if you are a Pisces, a Virgo, or a Gemini, or really any of the mutable signs. Sagittarius will also be affected by this, a little bit more so than other signs, because those of us who are Virgos and Geminis are ruled by Mercury, and Pisces is ruled by Neptune. So our ruling planets are squaring off to each other. The positive of Mercury square Neptune, I know we're backtracking a little bit here, is that it can heighten our intuition. So our rational mind isn't as clear, but our intuitive side is more clear and can come through more quickly. So because we have some other transits that are making us a little bit more impulsive that I'll get to in just a moment. Again, it's not the best time to just react based on that gut instinct or follow that gut instinct solely, but pay attention to any intuitive hits you get today or any random messages that might come through and seem like that was weird. Pay attention, maybe write it down, revisit it later in the week when the transits have calmed down a little bit and give us some time to breathe, because you could have some really profound things pop through or guided messages pop through. But again, we're in the middle of this confusing transit, so it will be hard to distinguish, okay, what's my intuition? What's my rational mind? Where am I getting confused? So my suggestion would be just write anything down that really stands out to you and revisit it later in the week. Sometimes those intuitive messages or downloads, or even if you get an astrology reading or a psychic reading, sometimes they only start to make sense after the fact when things start playing out and you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. So just take note. Lilith and I are equal mates. Crystal, I think we all have a little bit of Lilith in us. I'm definitely feeling that opposition this morning, feeling a little bit more feisty than usual, confused and feisty. Not the best combo, but hey, that's what we're dealing with. I guess I'm the only one who slept pretty deep last night. I know, what is going on? We've like reversed roles. He's usually up all night, can't sleep, and last night I was just wide awake and could not fall asleep. And Michael says he also had strange dreams. All right, we've got some. Even Mercury squaring off to Neptune could have brought strange dreams as well, because, you know, it's all about the rational mind activating our subconscious. So you might have gotten some interesting messages through dreams as well. The same thing goes for what I just said about downloads or random information coming in. If you had a weird dream and you can't stop thinking about it, or there was a certain visual that you keep remembering, maybe look up the meaning of it or write it down. See if you can find some meaning in it later on. Okay, so those are the first two transits that are kind of dominating the morning. This confusion, this opposition between our vitality and our inner bitch with the sun opposing Lilith. Then by late tonight, so we'll talk about this energy tomorrow as well, because this transit is going exact at about 11:30 tonight, and we don't have any other major transits to talk about for the next couple days. So this will certainly carry over into tomorrow, especially for those of you who are not living on the West Coast. You'll definitely feel this tomorrow, but we'll give you a little preview because it technically is a transit today. Another square to talk about between Mars and Jupiter. So Mars is still hanging out in Scorpio, 25 degrees over here. Once he gets to, we'll jump ahead about 12 hours, 26 degrees. He squares off to Jupiter in Aquarius. So what does this mean? Again, squares are the most intense angles that planets can form to one another. You can literally think of a 90-degree angle, the hardest angle that we have in geometry or math or whatever you want to call it. So when Mars, the planet of our drive, our aggression, that animal instinct, that impulse, squares off to Jupiter, the planet of abundance and excess, we can have excess energy, which if you're like me and you didn't get great sleep last night, I would expect tonight to be par for the course. If you found yourself staying up late or having energy late at night, that could happen to you again tonight, because we have these two very energized planets activating each other, giving us excess energy. This transit can also make us more impulsive because we have the planet of impulse squaring off to the planet of excess. This can make us more reactive and just amplify any emotions we're feeling, especially those more aggressive or reactive emotions. So this can be a difficult transit. Beware of how you're reacting. Really try to slow down if you can, especially late tonight or early tomorrow morning. The positive of this is that our actions, ruled by Mars, come from a place of optimism and possibility because we have Jupiter in the mix, which is all about silver linings and optimism. So we can kind of be extra optimistic tonight with this burst of energy. Just beware of rushing into anything, following those impulses, making those rash decisions or reactions. It could also be really easy to overbook yourself towards the end of the day today or early tomorrow morning because we'll have this extra energy and Jupiter tells us like, yeah, more. So try not to overbook yourself. The energy will start to die down a little bit later this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you don't want to be in a situation where super energized you on Tuesday or Wednesday started booking up your calendar for the rest of the week. And then by Friday, by the way, the moon will be in Pisces, we'll be extra sleepy, and we probably won't want to do all those things that we felt like doing on Tuesday or Wednesday. So that's what happens when Mars squares off to Jupiter super late tonight, about 11:30 p.m. And like I said, this will carry us into Wednesday as well. And we'll check in tomorrow morning and see how everybody's feeling after this pretty tumultuous day in the transits. Now let's talk about the moon, everybody's favorite. The moon is moving into Aquarius, or it appears, moved into Aquarius early this morning, I believe. Let me see where we're at now. Yes, okay. 2 degrees Aquarius right now. So the moon is officially in Aquarius. And it's making a couple different connections. Again, the connections all the planets and bodies are making today aren't the most favorable, but you're here, you're prepared for it, you're aligned with it, which means that it'll be smooth sailing for you, or at least you'll be aware if any tension does arise. It's not you, it's just the planets. So the moon is in Aquarius, and when the moon is in Aquarius, we continue with that feeling of, you might have felt like detached from your emotions a little bit over the past couple of days with the moon in Capricorn. The moon is least comfortable in Capricorn. It's opposite, its home position. So we're not quite as in tune with our emotions, and we tend to take a more practical approach, a more protective approach, kind of that fatherly approach when it comes to our emotions. As of this morning, the waxing crescent moon has moved into Aquarius, which still keeps us kind of detached from our emotions, more because Aquarius energy is about ideas over emotion. Aquarius is the water bearer, and I almost think of it like the cloud, not only in a physical sense, like it's both kind of this water air energy, but also I really think of Aquarian energy as like electricity or the metaverse, the cloud in that sense. Do you see what I'm saying? Kind of like the digital cloud. Aquarius is always the sign that's kind of most plugged into what's going on, what's new, what's innovative, technology, things like that. So over the next couple of days, our focus will be more on ideas rather than the physical emotion. We're nurtured also by our community, the collective, our place in humanity when the moon is in Aquarius, because that is that Aquarius energy, one for all for one. We're more aware of what causes, especially humanitarian causes and issues, are important to us with the moon in Aquarius. So if you're feeling your heartstrings being pulled by a certain cause, that might be a sign over the next couple of days that you're meant to support that cause or share your thoughts on that topic. Just be careful not to become too emotionally detached with the moon in Aquarius or too independent. It's funny because I tend to attract Aquarius or people with a lot of Aquarius placements. And it took me a long time to learn that they are pretty independent in the sense of they'll just kind of like disappear and go off on their own, kind of like a cloud. You know, 1 minute they're in the sky right in front of you, and then you look over and it's completely gone. So don't be surprised if the people around you, the people you love, are kind of off in their own little world too. Even when the moon moves into Pisces, we can be lost in a bit of a fantasy land. So the rest of the week can make us kind of feel like we're floating above our body, or like we're not quite as plugged into the physical. But we'll enjoy being around that community we've created for ourselves. Even interacting more with the community we've built online will feel especially nurturing with the moon in Aquarius. The moon doesn't make any major connections until tonight, actually. So while we're dealing with this confusion between Mercury and Neptune, this opposition between the sun and Lilith, that's all we're dealing with, luckily. The moon is just kind of making its way through Aquarius until it forms a supportive angle to Chiron. So at about 5 o'clock tonight, oh, I jumped too far ahead. Jumped a whole day ahead. Let's see. About 5 o'clock tonight, you'll see this sextile pop up between the moon and Chiron, the wounded healer. We've been talking a lot about Chiron lately because it's still pulling away from that sextile to Saturn. So we've learned a lot of lessons about our healing, specifically over the past couple weeks, but really over the past year or so. And when the moon forms a sextile to Chiron, this can help us see our healing maybe through a different lens or from a different perspective, because the Aquarius moon allows us to kind of see things from another level, kind of like have that bird's eye view. So we can see those deep wounds, our most intense pain, in this new light. Aquarian energy wants us to see new perspectives, to think differently, to step outside the box. This can allow us to take a different approach in situations that might have brought us pain in the past, or even just a different approach to our healing journey. Maybe you've been trying something to release or to feel better in general and it's not working. This transit at 5:30 tonight, this support between Chiron and the moon, can help us kind of tap into that subconscious from a different perspective and take a different approach to our healing. This could also bring a moment of transformation along the healing journey, because Aquarius energy is that transformative, rebellious, forward-thinking energy. So you might be actually thinking about how you can use your healing to help other people in the future, or, you know, how present you will show up for future you. That could be the approach in itself, realizing that you in this moment have control over the next version of yourself. You're constantly working towards that next version of yourself. Aquarius energy really likes to look to the future and innovate. And so we'll feel that specifically when it comes to our healing around 5:30 tonight. Hey, nothing wrong with Capricorn energy. Feels good to me. Of course it does, Cassie. You have a Capricorn moon. And it's so funny because one of my other friends with a Capricorn moon responded to my forecast yesterday saying, oh my gosh, this feels so spot on for me. And I'm like, well, yeah, the moon is in Capricorn. Of course it does. This is so crazy to hear, as today is my dad's 7-year anniversary of his death. I really feel you're speaking about that today. Oh, I'm so happy you're here with us, Jackie. I'm so sorry for your loss. But Mercury squaring off to Neptune in a positive way could actually help you communicate kind of beyond the veil. Be aware of, being confused or anything like that. But I know you're super tapped into your own intuition and your own spirituality. So if it feels good to you, if it feels like something you want to do, maybe be open to communication from him today, if that's something that resonates with you. If not, just some advice, or just my take on it. But you might have some communication come through. Like I said, a square is a very activating angle. It forms some tension, but it also creates action. So you might get some messages from him today, but we're here for you. I'm so grateful you showed up this morning and you're part of this community. All right, let's keep moving through the moon's transits. We have 2 more transits to talk about. So 5:30, we get some help along our healing journey from the moon in Aquarius, allowing us to see that different perspective. Then by 7 p.m., we have the moon meeting up with Saturn, the planet of restriction, the planet of boundaries. When the moon gets to 9 degrees in Aquarius, it's at the same exact position as Saturn from our viewpoint here on Earth. So when there's a conjunction between 2 bodies, we see a blending of their energies. You can almost think about it, if you're standing here on Earth and looking up in the sky, these 2 planets will be on top of each other in the sky. So it's almost like their energy is beaming down at the same time on us. When the moon forms this conjunction with Saturn, it can almost be like a limiter on our emotions. That feeling with the Capricorn moon of being a little bit more detached and practical with our feelings kind of comes back when the moon forms this conjunction to Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn and the traditional ruler of Aquarius before the planet Uranus was discovered. So when the moon meets up with Saturn, we really feel that detachment from our emotions. We can even feel lonely or disconnected or like we don't fit in. Or on the other hand, we can feel extra protective of our family members, which can bring a feeling of loneliness as well if you feel like you're solely responsible for protecting your family and you have all this pressure on you. So remember, you're not alone, you're not disconnected, even if you feel like it for a short period tonight. But Saturn is also the planet of lessons, which can allow whatever emotions, especially difficult or negative emotions that come up today with all these squares and activating angles. When the moon meets up with Saturn, we can take the lessons from those negative emotions. Saturn is the teacher. It can show us things that we haven't seen before or show us things in a different light with the moon and Saturn both in Aquarius. So if those unpleasant or negative feelings start to arise at any point today, know that you can take the lessons away from the pain. Observe what's coming up for you. Use that, having detached emotions isn't necessarily a bad thing. I know it has kind of a negative connotation, but the ability to detach from our emotions can help us see them through a more practical lens or take a more practical approach or, just not be as consumed by whatever we're feeling and be able to make more rational decisions in the midst of negative or difficult emotions. So use that practical energy. Ask whatever feelings come up at all today, what they're showing you. And the other thing that I see with this happening is that we're going to be more aware tonight of the balance between our feminine and masculine energies. The moon rules our feminine energy. It is the divine feminine, traditionally ruled by Cancer. Saturn rules our divine masculine energy. It's the ruler of Capricorn, the father of the zodiac. So when these 2 planets meet up here, it's almost like a blending of our feminine and masculine energies. And this can really be a beautiful moment because it can show us what might be out of whack when it comes to the feminine or masculine, or it can allow us to use both sides, this duality that we all have within us equally, or allow the masculine to balance out the feminine. Remember, just because you identify as a woman doesn't mean you're feminine. Just because you identify as a man doesn't mean you're masculine. We all have both of these energies within us. So we'll be able to embody both of them tonight when the moon meets up with Saturn. And the last transit we're talking about today is another square. Today is the day of squares. Moon squaring off to Uranus at 11 p.m. Pacific time. So this could bring a change in mood, a change of pace. Uranus is the planet of change, rebellion. It could also feel like, again, like last night, almost like a rebellion going to sleep or calming down. So it can kind of bring some emotional unrest when the moon squares off to Uranus, or just like this need for excitement late tonight. You might feel more eccentric or prone to acting in ways you normally wouldn't act. It's interesting because we have this conjunction between the Aquarius moon and Saturn, very Aquarian, detached energy. And then the moon squares off to its modern ruler, Uranus, Aquarius's modern ruler, I should say, Uranus, at 11 p.m. tonight. So more Aquarian energy. But this is more that eccentric, I'm different, I'm going to march to the beat of my own drum energy, and it's coming super late tonight. So if you're feeling a little weird late tonight, early tomorrow morning, it's probably because the moon is squaring off to Uranus. Just remember, there's a fine line between feeling liberated and free and rebellious and being impulsive and making rash decisions that aren't really supporting our highest self. So we still have that air of impulse, especially because at the same time the moon squares off to Uranus, we see Mars square off to Jupiter. So it will make us more impulsive, rash, reactive. Try to see that higher perspective, maybe detach from your emotions. That could be a good thing with Mars squaring off to Jupiter, amplifying our energy, amplifying our reactions. Having a more detached approach might not be the worst thing in the world when that's going on. So we have a lot of energy clashing today. There's a lot going on. Today is just going to be a lot in general because we have so many planets activating each other, and it's kind of happening all within this 12, 15-hour period before we get a little bit of a break for the rest of the week. Oh, you're right. Yeah, you have a Taurus moon, but Capricorn basically everything else. So yeah, that Capricorn moon definitely feels nice for you, just earth energy in general. So yeah, I know that this is kind of an intense day that we're talking about. All of the transits have a shadow side to them for sure and can make us more reactive, impulsive, confused. Those are sort of the names of the game today. But now that you know this energy is coming, it can make it a lot more easy to navigate and to have that perspective. Okay, baby, this isn't just me or my partner or my friends that are irritating me. Sometimes it's just the energy we're all feeling. So let's do a little overview and then we will pull a card for today. We have some difficult transits today, many squares in the sky. Early this morning, Mercury squares off to Neptune, bringing confusion, making miscommunication possible. The moon also opposes Lilith, which could bring out our inner bitch, help us express ourselves more confidently, but maybe too confidently in some situations. Remember, there's a lot of confusion going on. Then by late tonight, Mars squares off to Jupiter, giving us a burst of energy, but also making us more impulsive and reactive and prone to excess. So try to slow down today. The moon is also in Aquarius, which can make us more detached from our emotions, but can also allow us to see things in a new light or embody the things that make us a little bit different, allow us to be open to new perspectives. The moon also forms some challenging angles today, meeting up with Saturn, bringing a little bit of negativity, maybe some practicality into our emotions, and then squaring off to Uranus late tonight, which can bring a change of pace and also add to that reactive or impulsive energy. Watch your words today, watch your actions today, try to slow down, give other people the benefit of the doubt, and give yourself grace as well. All right. Let's pull a card now, see what the universe has for us. So I'm going to use the universe has your back deck today because, you know, I felt like we might need that message that the universe has our back because you never know. We really don't know what's going to happen with today's energy. There are a lot of possibilities. That's always nice. But I would imagine there could be some difficult moments. So we have to get a little reminder that everything is happening for us, not to us. Every difficult moment, intense emotion is a lesson, is an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, to learn more about other people. So let's see what message the universe has for us this morning. I am unapologetic about what I desire, and I trust that what I focus on will grow. Ooh, great card. I am unapologetic about what I desire, and I trust that what I focus on will grow. This really speaks to the Mars and Jupiter energy we're going to experience tonight. And also focus, the key word here being focus, because the Aquarius moon is about our focus. Like I said, it's more about the mental than the physical when it comes to our emotions. So what you focus on today can really manifest emotionally. But I see this more so, this square between Mars and Jupiter activates our desire and our trust. So I'm unapologetic about what I desire, and I trust that what I focus on will grow. Mars and Jupiter energy will amplify whatever we are desiring, whatever we're focusing on in that moment. So if we're focusing on negativity or aggression or irritation late tonight when the Mars squares off to Jupiter, that emotion is only going to grow. If we're focused on our drive and our stamina and what we want out of life, that energy will grow as Mars squares off to Jupiter. So remember to be unapologetic about what you desire, and the sun opposing Lilith can actually help us with that too, being unapologetic about our desires. Like I was just talking about, that Lilith energy, you can think of her as, the original witch almost. Lilith is often kind of associated with witchiness because she was this sovereign woman who was like, I'm not going to submit to anybody. She was unapologetic about what she desired. Was she cast out because of it? Probably. But luckily we live in 2021 and women can be a little bit more vocal and confident and independent than they were back in the days of the Bible or whatever. So anyway, random tangent, but I'm unapologetic about what I desire, and I trust that what I focus on will grow. That is our message of the day. I hope that this live stream prepared you for anything that comes your way today. I hope that this energy treats you well, helps you see things from a new perspective, gives you energy in all the right ways, and I hope that talking through these transits helps prepare you for anything at all that might arise today. So thank you so much for tuning in this morning. I'll be back tomorrow morning between 8 and 8:15 or so. That's the time that you all said worked best for you on the poll I put on my Instagram. So thank you for giving me your feedback. And also, if you didn't see yesterday, I know a lot of people are starting to get their merchandise in, which makes me so happy. Some of our first sample orders just came in over the weekend. So I'm not drinking out of it this morning. I probably should be, but here's my little mug, super happy camper mug. And we also have apparel, lots of things. Really the easiest, most fun way to support this free live stream that we produce every morning, and also get yourself a little something at the same time. So if you're interested in buying something from the spiritual shop, supporting the show that way, you can actually just scan this. I'm trying to point to it. Where is it? You can scan this QR code in the corner if you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or you can just head to thespiritualjournalist.com and click shop. That's a great way to support, or you can always buy me a coffee, donate that way. You can find a link in the comments on this video and on my website as well, thespiritualjournalist.com. So that's my plug for today. I'll stop selling you on ways to support me. But just tuning in, being here is the best way to support by far. I'm so grateful for the community you're helping me build here. So grateful you showed up for yourself today, got ready for whatever energy comes your way. I hope your communication flows more easily than mine has been during this live stream. Really feeling that energy between Mercury, see what I'm saying? Mercury and Neptune clouding my communication. So if you're tripping up over your words or even your thoughts today, know that you are not alone. I'm right there with you, feeling all this energy with you. I hope you come back tomorrow. Let me know how today went. We'll do a little check-in and see how everybody's feeling tomorrow morning. All right. Have a beautiful day. Sending all the love, all the light your way. Thank you for being here, and I will see you right back here tomorrow. But until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.